Hey guys, you're tuned into our second episode of Articles of Linguistics. If you missed it, last week we asked the question, if it was raining really hard outside, and you yourself had a rain jacket, but your friend didn't, do you put the rain jacket on so you can bear the environments, or do you leave the rain jacket in the car so you can face the same environments as your friend? And unfortunately, no one answered on it, but we thought we'd give our take on it. So, Sean, what do you think? Do you leave the jacket in the car, or do you put on the jacket?
So in the case of a snow or a rainstorm, and I'm in the car with my friend, and he has to suffer, honestly, if I brought my jacket, I'm putting my jacket on. Because in a situation like that, sometimes you have to let them learn the hard way. So the best way to let them learn is to let them endure that environment by themselves, and you don't need to say anything because they're already in pain.
They know.
They already know, but you could just if it's a female, if it's my girlfriend or my sister, or honestly maybe not even my sister. If it's my mom though, I might help her out. But in the case of a rain or a snowstorm, we're all in this together, but at that point in time, you got to save yourself before you can save the others. So,
as the flight attendants would say, you put your mask on first before you help out other people, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, something you said, which is very interesting, is, you separated it by, it obviously depends on who it is. Like, if it's your friend, especially if it's your male friend, you're going to let him learn trial by fire. You're going to let him see that you're wearing your jacket and be like, bro, next time, But, if it's your girl, you'd be like,
Sometimes you might have to take one for the team when it's your girl, If it's really that bad out and she's looking fancy as, sometimes you just gotta swallow your pride and just give them the jacket.
Take the L. Gotta take the L.
Taking the L.
So, and me personally, I honestly would probably do the same thing Sean does. It depends on who it is. If it's my friend who is a male, I'm putting my jacket on. It's cold as hell. It's raining. Whatever. Sorry, you forgot your jacket. If it's my girlfriend, it's a little bit different. I gotta give her the jacket. That's just how it is. That's the way society is, and I love her and I can't let her suffer either. So. If it's my mom, of course she's getting the jacket. Most of my friends within my group would probably get my jacket. Yeah. But why did we ask this question? What is the importance, or what is the underlying importance of this question? So the reason we developed this question is the deeper meaning is, do you let other people's problems become your problem? So that is the root of why we asked that question. And it can almost apply in the same context, in the sense of if it's a friend, or if it is a family member, whether it be your parents, brother, cousin, or whether it's a spouse or a significant other, do you let their problems become your problems? So Sean, with this switch in the conversation, what do you think? It's a little bit more, I guess, deeper.
For me, I try to focus on my own self, so that if someone else has another problem, I really try not to undertake their problem as mine. I will give them words of advice for next time if we come across a similar situation, but as far as letting someone else's problem go, if someone's, failing a class, I did the homework, yeah, sure, you could copy off me. But if that's going to be, a constant thing of, oh, I forgot to do the homework, and I'm like, damn, you copied the last 4 homeworks, It's after a while, it's I'm the only one doing your homework, basically. So someone's got to learn somehow. And by telling them no, sometimes that's just, the first step. But, whether it's, if it's, a physical problem, depending on the environment, or, if someone breaks their elbow, there's no doubt I'm there to help them. Especially if they're my friend, I'm going to be able to help them out. But if they're just going to be abusing my help, then there's a line you have to draw for yourself, and that's
for everybody. Family, friends, spouses. There's a line you have to draw,
and especially if it's if I feel like my help is being abused in a sense. So it's if I'm constantly trying to help someone out, I don't want to just I'm also trying to help myself out in certain situations. So I wouldn't expect them to help me if I was in trouble or if I had a problem, but I would definitely. I'd keep my head up, and I would hope for the best for myself. So if someone else helped me, it'd be helpful, but I'm not expecting anyone else to really, help me out, especially if I have a problem. I'm focused on my own, and so when other people have their own problems, it's kind of well, I could help them out, this once, but it's not going to be like an ongoing thing of like, oh, I need a ride. I can't just always be giving you the same ride, like, and depending on the situation that they put themselves in. So for me, I really try not to let other people's problem become mine, because then it also ruins my day in a sense. No, it doesn't ruin my day, but it just kind of puts weight on my shoulders for something that I never intended to do. So and it really depends on the situation and what I'm really doing, but for the most part, I try to help people out to an extent where they're going to learn for the next time, so they don't have to constantly be putting themselves in the same problem and expecting my help every single time, because that's just,
it's mentally draining.
Yeah, it's like after a while, you got to draw that line and stand up for yourself at one point, or else you're just going to be, just undertaking other people's problems, and then you're just filled with everyone's problems, including your own, and you know where to stop. So that's just where I kind of have to break free from that stigma or whatnot. So
absolutely, and there's also like that line you were saying. Like for me personally, there is friends, and like of course there's family that regardless of how they treat me, like I'm just gonna be there for them. Like I don't know. I guess it's just a personal, like, my own morals. Like, they've been in my life long enough for me to know that they are genuine enough for me to always have to help them. Regardless of how, I mean, if they abuse my help, to an extent, everyone has that line or that limit. But, like, for the most part, like, I'm going to be there for them regardless. And, of course, it differentiates with, like, friends, spouses, family, again. Like, family, again, like, I'm devoted to them regardless. No matter how they treat me. Yeah, exactly. That's my family. They grew up with me. They would definitely be there for me. Friends, this is where I draw a different line with family and spouses. With friends, yes, it's always good to be there for them, but you can only listen to so much negativity and their problems before their problems become your problems, but before you start to just reflect on it, and it becomes almost mentally draining to an extent.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will take that, take you listening as an opportunity for them to just let go of all their negativity and dumping it on you. But if that isn't being reciprocated, if they're not there for you to hear like what you have to dump on somebody, you're just taking all of their shit and outputting positivity, and they're like, thanks, cool, like, I feel great, and then you gotta, like, dwell on that shit for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So I draw a little bit closer line with the friends, because I have to really see that they would reciprocate that for me, or they might have already as well. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll let their problems, depending on how severe their problems are or how involved I want to get personally. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get the trifecta, like sometimes one friend's problem involves another one of your friends, and you're like, I don't want any of this shit,
Yeah, that's a situation where you kind of just have to, step out of that box or that line and just be like, you know what, this conversation, like, let's change it up, or like, let's do something, because then you want to, I don't know, when there's a problem between two of my friends and I'm in the middle, it's like, please don't put me in the middle of this problem, because this is not something I signed up for. I wanted to hang out with you and not your problems. So it's like,
bam,
certain conversations, sometimes you just have to just cut it loose and just be like, I don't want to talk about your problems or whatnot, because then you're just surrounding yourself with like negative info, and then you're giving back positive feedback, but at the same time you're still surrounding yourself with that negativity.
Yeah, it's on you.
And then that just kind of that doesn't ruin your day necessarily, but it could also, put like a roof on your head for just like stopping you from doing something that you want to do. And
absolutely.
I don't know. It really depends though when it comes down to it, really on the situation or the person, because like Khalil said, it's like it could be your family, so then you got to help your family, you got to help your cousins out and whatnot. But sometimes if it's a friend, or even like a friend you haven't talked to, and they're just asking you for help on something, depending on how necessary that is or how much of a priority that is. Like if they need a ride from the airport, like for sure, like I could help them out and get them a ride. But like if they're gonna tell me that they just like, they just, well, I don't know, what's a crazy situation, like, fuck.
I don't know, a lot of people, our generation complains about, like, politics and, like, school and shit. Which, that's a good yeah, I mean, like, I'm stressed out about school, but, like, if that's the only thing you're stressed about, like, that's something you need to change in your life.
Yeah,
You know, like,
exactly.
I don't want to sound mean, but, like, we're on the podcast right now, so I'm going to be real with you guys. Like, I don't want to hear that shit all the fucking time, you know? Like, dude, if you're complaining to me about the same motherfucking problem, like, realize that problem and change it. You know, that's all you need to do to, I mean...
Especially if it's school, too. I mean, it's like, okay, so, like, me and Khalil, we're both in school, too, so we kind of have similar, homework problems or stress levels of similar trait, but at the same time, it's like we're both in that same situation, so when someone else, I mean, when you're in the same situation of, like, oh, yeah, I have hella schoolwork, I'm swamped on all, it's like, okay, yeah, but, like, there's also a whole other students, like, that are handling their shit, so it's like, I don't want to hear what your problems are, like, what are you doing to, like, fix your problems, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, what are the ideas that you're thinking about that are going to help you succeed or move through your problems? Because that's really what's going to help you, is talking about how to fix them rather than just dwelling on the actual problem itself. Because I feel like when you're just just talking about your problem like it's never going to fix itself, well, I mean, it's really not going to fix itself until you start thinking about solutions for your problem.
Exactly.
Because I mean, if you're just surrounding yourself with the same thought of like, oh, I'm this homework is so hard, or I have no time, it's like, okay, well, make time, do the homework, like, stand up for yourself in a in the case of when you're busy, like tell people no for once or whatnot, just to be able to fix your homework problem or whatever situation that you're in, to be able to try to find the solution and talk about the solution rather than just talking about the problem, because then you're just going to be dwelling on the problem rather when you could be dwelling on the solutions to help you move through your problem at those times. So.
Exactly. Sometimes you gotta hit them with the boundary statement. You know, when you hear all that negativity, like, so that's something I wanted to bring up too. Like, if you have someone in your life that is just always a dwell, always talking negative stuff, and you like them, they're cool people, and maybe it's not all the time, but, you are their sort of trash can, of negativity. Yeah. In a sense, some people, like this just person, this person really listens to me, so I feel like I can just vent. There you go. That's the key word. Yeah. I feel like I can vent to them, but you're like, dude, I don't want to be rude because they feel like they can confide in me, but like, I don't want to hear it all the time.
It's like we were just venting last night. Yeah. And the night before. It's like, why are we still venting?
How much shit happened overnight?
Yeah. Like, what fixed itself? Like, did anything that like was like solidified or whatever? Like, what was the solution behind anything? Exactly. Like, was there any solution? Was there any progress? Was there any like fix up? Like, did you ever fix it up, or did you just keep dwelling and days on end?
Find more problems.
And you just enjoy venting to me, because I don't enjoy listening to your venting like 5 days on end. Like, I'd like to hear your progression more often than your problem.
Or at least, yeah, exactly. Like the counteraction to that problem.
Yeah.
So that's when you gotta. I learned about this semester. Actually, 2 semesters ago. Hit them with the boundary statement. Hit them with the boundary statement. And for, like, some of you guys might already know this, because if you're in the communication field, this is very apparent to you, but a lot of people don't know this. And what a boundary statement is, well, first I'll go into, like, why we are afraid to use them. They're very direct, and a lot of people will think that the person that they're using it, not against, but using it for, might think that they're rude. But they're very, very important for this type of situation, and really important for not letting people's problems become your problems. So a boundary statement is essentially what the fuck you want to say, how you're feeling in that moment. If you...
Like, let's say you're at the coffee shop, you're there real quick, you're just trying to get a coffee and keep going, and someone's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like, then you start talking, like, you could hit them with like, oh yeah, I only got a couple minutes, but what's up? What were you talking about?
Before the conversation starts.
Before it even starts, like, oh hey, how's it going? I got a couple minutes. Like, what are you doing? And then boom, like they already know that you have a couple minutes, so you're not really trying to stop, talk for a good amount of time or whatnot. Even if you're in the gym, you could see someone you haven't seen in a while, and they're just gonna try to talk it up. It's like sometimes you just gotta let them know, like, yeah, bro, like, good to see you too. I gotta finish this workout, whatnot, and then you're at the gym, you came to work out, you didn't really come for conversation. Like, yeah, it's nice to see someone, but, like, I'd much rather talk to you outside of the gym when I'm done working out or whatnot. Like, it just...
I'm not on my schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when I have a lot more free time at hand, because sometimes, people are on schedules and people are on certain times, so you just, more specifically, sometimes you're on a certain time, so you gotta, that boundary statement is just an underlying just a statement saying how you feel.
Yeah. Straight up, like in the rawest form, it is how you truly feel, and obviously you'll finesse it to sound a little bit softer when you do say it. But for instance, like for this, if someone's problems are becoming your problems, if someone is, we'll use the venting example because it's what we've been talking about. If someone is venting to you too much, then you have to say when you first meet them, your first interaction, like, hey, either like I can only listen to you for like 10-15 minutes, or else like, and then we gotta talk about something else, or we gotta do something, or like, hey, like every day is just too much. Maybe like I'm down to listen to your problems maybe once a week, or like what Sean said, like I'd love to listen to you, but I gotta hear some positivity in it as well. I gotta hear the balances of like these are the negative things, but these are the things I'm doing to overcome them.
Like tell me what's wrong, right, on the first day, and then a week later, tell me what you've done to think about your solution. So then I could see that you're actually trying to help yourself. Because if you're just gonna be like, oh, I got this ticket here and this ticket this day, and then the next time you're like, dude, I still got these tickets. Like, okay, I understand, I've known. But it's like, have you saved any money to pay those tickets off, or like, have you?
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, like I want to know what you're actually doing to like get you out of that rut, because I want to know that if you're gonna be in this rut for time on end, like how do we plan accordingly so then you're not always in a rut to hang out? Because I don't want to just hang out with someone who's always in the dirt. It's like, I mean, I'm there to help you, but I'm not there to clean you off and whatnot. Like you gotta, you gotta clean yourself sometimes. You gotta fix your own problem. Like, but I think that might bring us into our second question on, let's say you're by yourself.
Yeah, so okay, we'll get away from the emotional example, but let's say straight up, like, okay, this has nothing to do with you. We'll use the example, if a stranger is, we'll say this, you're at Chase late at night. We'll set we gotta set the scenario up, because that way they can understand. You're at Chase, you're withdrawing money. There's only one ATM. Someone's using it, so you gotta wait. You choose to wait in your car, obviously, because it's late at night. And this guy withdraws money, and you see someone come up behind him, robbing him. What do? Obviously, the safest option is for you to stay in your car. Yeah. That at that point, that is his problem.
Yeah.
But do you let that problem become your problem?
Yeah, like, how would you react?
How do you hit that robber with a boundary statement? No, I'm kidding.
Listen, man, I don't have too much time. I need the purse right now so I can give it back to this bystander.
Hey, I know you're doing this, but I really need that ATM.
No, but seriously,
this is morally, like, this is a huge morals issue. Right? This is like
this is like something that like could happen to you. Not getting robbed, but like you could see someone, like you could see an old lady get her purse snatched and like whatnot. Mm-hmm. Like it might happen in your lifetime. So for me, obviously, what I would do is honestly, depending on the size of the guy, like I mean,
I like that.
I'm not like the biggest guy, but like if he's a little small, little quick little guy, honestly, I might just hop out the car and try to help him. Like, I mean, if he has a weapon like a gun or a knife, like that's when the authorities come in. But if I see that I might be able to help someone out actually that I don't even know for like get my adrenaline boost, like mm-hmm. I might step in and like stand up for this person if they're getting robbed. But if it's like by gunpoint, by knife. Sometimes you just have to, step back and just call the police and just let the authorities take over in certain situations like that, because you can only do so much where, you put yourself in harm. You could get involved, but at the same time, it's like, what could happen if you do get involved? Would you get more in trouble for helping them out by, like, what if it was a prank, or like, would you get more in trouble by, I don't know.
Would you aggravate the situation more?
Exactly. Like, What if they did have a weapon you didn't know, and so you got stabbed or you got shot and they didn't? So, it's really it comes down to your moral decision if you want to involve yourself in that type of just situation, I guess. Because I mean, I don't know.
It's 12 o'clock.
I haven't I haven't necessarily seen someone get robbed, but if I did, just depending on the size of the guy, honestly, I might want to get involved and just maybe play hero, but it's not always the best idea to play hero, so.
I like it. So you kind of have this, like, if I can, I will attitude, and you definitely take a step back and look at the situation a little bit more before you approach it. And that's probably what I would do, too, honestly. Like, you never know. Like, the guy could just, like, really just steal his money and run off, you know? And, like, that sucks. Like, you got your money stolen, but, like, you have your life, and you can take that home, and you have the opportunity to make more money. You know, like some people, like you're like, hey, no, and you want to be a hero, and you get stepped in, dude. You get stabbed in the back. You know, you're in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Like that one moment where you decided to stand up, like you never can again. You know, just like shit like that. You know,
real.
So to take a step back and to look at the situation again, I think that's kind of what we've been saying too. That's the root idea of this podcast is like it depends on the problem, and you have to take a step back and look at it and see if it's something you want to involve yourself in.
True. And that kind of goes with like the boundary statements. You're kind of giving yourself a boundary statement in that case. Like if someone was to get robbed, do I want to step into this boundary, into their situation, or do I just kind of want to sit back, observe, and see what I can do either for them after it or, you know, right before, right then and there, because it just in the end, it really falls into your hands because they're already getting affected by it. But do you want to be affected by it other than just watching it, or do you want to get involved and be able to help them entirely, either standing up for them or just by chasing them down? So now that you have heard what we have to say, go ahead and answer in the comments below of what you would do in the case of a situation of, you know, getting robbed or hearing too many people vent. But as we come to a closure, I'd like to hit you guys with the question of the day. Does California have a drought problem, or do Californians have a problem in the drought?
Well, that's the end of this podcast, and we really appreciate you guys listening. And we hope that you turn the page into our new article next week.